Hey bookworms, welcome back to my channel and to another best 5 worst 5 list. These lists are always a matter of taste, but never was it so true as to this video, because today I'm going to be talking about my 5 favorite and 5 least favorite authors. Honestly, I should have changed the title, but I just wanted to continue with the format that I already started with. But before I begin, I have 2 things. First of all, as always, this is just my opinion, my preferences. Don't take anything too hard. Trust me, it's not worth it. But the second thing is that I did have one rule for doing this list, which was an author can only be on this list if I've read at least 2 works by him or her. And a series counts as one, even if it has 17 books. So let's begin with my top 5 most favorite authors, and I do have 2 honorable mentions. The first one is pretty cheesy, I know, but I just have to, which is J.K. Rowling. If you've been following my videos, you know that I mentioned the Harry Potter series quite a few times. It had a very integral part of my childhood. It affected me so much growing up, and just generally speaking, I really like her writing. I like her characters, I like her plot lines, etc. And the second honorable mention is the one and only, the Bard of Avon, William Shakespeare. He's awesome. He was a genius. There is a very good reason why after 400 years people know who he is. The only reason why he is an honorable mention and not actually on this list is because I felt like all the other authors wrote books, novels, short stories, and since he wrote mostly plays, it just didn't feel, appropriate. Now, after these honorable mentions, let's go to the actual 5 favorite authors. So these come in no particular order, but ladies first, and at number 1 we have Dame Agatha Christie. If you're not new to my channel, you know I absolutely love her. I actually have a collection of her books where the protagonist is the detective Hercule Poirot. If you don't know who she is, she's also known as Queen of Crime. She wrote a lot of whodunit, murder mysteries, detective books. She actually wrote the book, quite literally, since a lot of modern books and movies are actually based on her ideas. As a matter of fact, one of her most famous books, one of my favorite books of all time, Murder on the Orient Express, recently got another movie version, simply because I think Kenneth Branagh just wanted to play Poirot, which was actually not too bad. So there you go, you got another movie recommendation in between all these authors. Though if you want to watch the 70s version, it's a lot better. But anyway, she has such fun, suspenseful whodunit mysteries, and I absolutely love them. At number 2 we have Michael Schaben. The first book I've read by him was The Yiddish Policeman's Union, and I absolutely fell in love with his writing. He is a Jewish American author who mostly writes about Jewish Americans, and even though this is not a subject that I usually gravitate toward or I have a lot of interest in, the quality of his writing and the words that he uses are the reason why I mostly recommend his books. His works are just fascinating and just good quality novels, and that's it. At number 3 we have Stephen Fry. Unfortunately, he only wrote 4 novels. He wrote also other things, but I'm a novel kind of a person. I've read them all. I can't wait for him to write some more. By the way, he also wrote 2 autobiographies because, well, he's Stephen Fry. If the name sounds familiar, that's because he's also an actor, a comedian, TV show host, journalist, and pretty much everything. And his books are unique, strange, entertaining. I think what I like most about his novels is this combination between the everyday world where they occur and some really strange weirdness. My favorite of his is Making History, which is about a man who has to go back in time and save Adolf Hitler. Why? Read the book. And to those of you who ask, where's the dark fantasy that you always talk about? Well, at number 4 we have Neil Gaiman. Look, I like dark fantasy. I like gothic, early Tim Burton style things, so obviously I love Neil Gaiman. I could just say that it's good dark fantasy which isn't about some crappy teenage angst and be done with it, but it's a lot more than that. It's about his imagination, his quality of writing. I even like American Gods, which is my least favorite book of his. I at least have respect for it. I just wish he would write some more novels because he's mostly a short stories type of an author, and I don't like short stories. And at number 5 we have Jasper Fforde. I know that some of you probably thought that it's gonna be Terry Pratchett, especially since he co-wrote Good Omens with Neil Gaiman that I just mentioned. But when it comes to witty, crazy British humor, as much as I love Terry Pratchett, as much as I love Douglas Adams, for me there is no competition with Jasper Fforde. As you can probably imagine, he writes comedy fantasy books, which has a lot of like Monty Python-esque sense of humor. But what for me sets him apart from the others is that he actually also writes about literature, something that I kind of like. In his most famous series, Thursday Next, the world of the story is intertwined with the world of literature, a theme that also appeared in the spin-off Nursery Crimes, and I just love his puns. He is so witty and he has such a great sense of humor, and I just wish he would continue the Nursery Crimes series and continue writing. He has millions of series and so far they're all great. Okay, that was the easy part. Now let's go to my top 5 least favorite authors, which was a harder list to make. This is simply because I don't really tend to dislike authors. If I read a book that I don't like, most likely that I would just avoid reading books from the same author. But still I managed to collect not only 5 least favorite authors, but also 2 honorable mentions, so let's start with them. First honorable mention is Walt Whitman. Just like with Shakespeare, I feel that because he mostly wrote poems and not novels, he doesn't really fit in this list. But God, he is so pretentious. I just cannot stand him and his poems. Second honorable mention is J.D. Salinger. The reason why he's not on this list is because I only read one thing by him, his famous Catcher in the Rye, and let's just say I absolutely hated it. I hated Holden and his world's view, which I've heard he shares with the author, and if you want a bit more information, I talked about it in my list of most disappointing books, which of course I will link down below. Now to the actual top 5, tongue-tied. Top 5 least favorite authors, once again in no particular order. And for start, to all of those of you who heard me talk about Agatha Christie and ask, okay, hold on, you're talking about detective books, where is the detective Sherlock Holmes? There he is. At number 1, we have Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, like I said at the beginning, I by no means think that Conan Doyle was a bad author. After all, his fictional character of Sherlock Holmes is one of the most famous characters ever. But I personally just could not stand the Sherlock Holmes short stories. For me, what's most fun about detective books, thrillers, mysteries, and what I judge them for is the fun of yourself as the reader trying to solve the mystery, something that you cannot possibly do in Doyle's works, so what's the use? Also, I really cannot stand Sherlock Holmes as a character. I really don't connect to the whole too genius to be sociable idea. I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's interesting. That's why I also really don't like the TV character which is based on him, Dr. House. No, I wasn't talking about Sherlock Holmes from the TV series Sherlock. Obviously, I did not see that one. At number 2, we have Orson Scott Card. Now, this is something to rant about in the comment section. This is the only case on this list where the dislike for the author comes more from the author's personality other than his books, even though, by the way, after a while I got really tired of the Ender series. Now, I know this is controversial. I know that a lot of people say, and they're kind of right, that you should not compare, but I can't help it. when a celebrity, and he could be very talented in whatever it is that he or she are doing, is turned out to be a huge asshole, I can't look at him or her the same way. I can't enjoy their works the same way. Orson Scott Card is known to be a huge homophobe that is fighting very hard to prevent from the LGBT community to get the basic human treatment. He wrote papers about it, and this is something that really disturbs me. This is something that I cannot look past. That's why he's on this list. By the way, on that note, it is also very important for me to say that when you are a celebrity, fame and rumors about you being a jerk usually go hand in hand. So when you do hear rumors about a celebrity doing bad things or having very, let's just say, bad opinions, if opinions can be bad, you know what I mean, make sure to try at least and check if they're true, because rumors are just everywhere. They're very easy to spread. So at least when you form an opinion about someone, just make sure that the rumors are actually true. Just saying. At number 3, we have Ernest Hemingway. This is simply a case of an author that I just don't like his works. I don't get them. I don't want to ever read any of his again. Like with Walt Whitman, there is something incredibly pretentious about his writing. And this is strange because this comes from a person who just spoke about how much she loves Stephen Fry, who is incredibly pretentious. I can explain it. But anyway, I try to read Ernest Hemingway. I didn't like him. I didn't like his writing. I'm not gonna read anything more by him. And that's it. At number 4, we have Gregory Maguire. Speaking of pretentious. Yeah, that's it. End of entry. Just kidding, but Gregory Maguire is something so annoying and pretentious in his writing. Let's have a drinking game. Every time I say the word pretentious, take a drink. No, I just can't stand his books as much as I tried. I also think that one of the cases where an adaptation is better than the book which is based upon is the Broadway version of Wicked, which is a million times better than the book. I also read another book by him, which is Snow White based, another one that sets in our modern world, and I didn't like them to the extent that I honestly don't think they're good. I couldn't relate to this book even in the most basic way of fly on the wall, understanding what's going on around him in the plot, let alone being immersed emotionally in the plot. Anyway, this is one author I'll surely be staying away from. And we're finishing this list with number 5. You have to have a lady on the list, and this lady is Gillian Flynn. Now, I know I said at the beginning not to take anything too hard, but honestly, I think she's just overrated. She's one of those authors who does this thing which I've talked about time and again in previous videos, which is she garnishes bad thrillers with as much sex and gore and weird things as much as she can in order to hide the fact that the story is bad and the characters are bad. The 2 books I've read by her weren't good, and the main character of Sharp Objects was just unbearable. And it's very hard to read a book and enjoy it and even be concentrated enough in it when the main character is just awful. She's one of those too cool for school characters that are just really weird for the sake of having an unusual and weird character. I just really dislike those kind of characters. I honestly think that Gillian Flynn's books aren't suspenseful, aren't good, aren't interesting, and just full of stuff to kind of cover the fact that the rest is just not good enough. So those were my top favorite and least favorite authors. I have a feeling I became more and more judgmental as I progressed. Did you guys notice that? And of course, don't forget to write down in the comments below what you think. Which one of your favorite authors did I just bash? But if an author that you like really appeared in my least favorite list, I do want to know, why do you like them? And can you try and convince me to maybe give them another chance? And just generally don't forget to write down below what are your favorite or least favorite authors, or which authors are well beloved and you think are overrated, or which unknown author you think is absolutely wonderful and everyone should read. So that's it, bookworms. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed my list. If you did, don't forget to click like and show it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you dare, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.